is for perfection. Abhyasa is mechanical doing, repetition of the same thing time and again till you will become perfect. So you need not practice asanas, abhyasa, you need not practice pranayama, but you have to practice it for the development of the mental body, because they are the only two perfect instruments you have. How can a defective body help in the growth of a defective body to become perfect? So that is the role what Hatha Yoga and Raja Yoga has to play in integral yoga. So you can underline those things. Useful at times in the certain stages of progress, but are not indispensable. And when you say they are not indispensable, that doesn't mean that you do not need it. It only means that even if they are not there, you can progress. But what is the harm in having a perfect tool instead of throwing that away? Because nature has given you are in the body and in the pranamaya kosha. You just can't say, no, I don't want it. Even if you don't want it, you are in the body and you are in the vital body. Next. Until I say stop, you go on. Right. In science, when you want to develop an instrument, a perfect instrument, what do we do? Suppose you want to have an instrument made of iron, a new instrument which was not already in the world. You are understanding the question, no? You want to have a new instrument. You want to perfect a new instrument in the material world, in the field of science, made up of iron. So what you are supposed to do? First you have to get iron. Where do you get iron? From the mines. Do you get the pure iron from there? No. So what do you get? The first is purification. So if you want to do some work with iron so that you can have an apparatus or a machine made up of iron, first you should have pure iron. So the first stage of any yoga is purity of the instrument. And when Sri Aurobindo says that the Annamaya and the vital bodies are already perfect, it means they are already pure. They are already pure, you remember it. This is what we forget. Our Annamaya Purusha and our Pranamaya Purusha are perfect, not ours. The entire humanity is perfect. Nature has already achieved it. But you have to be aware of it. And then, what you are supposed to do? You remember about the machine I am talking about, which is made up of iron. So what should the iron must become now? It should become fluidic. The pure iron cannot be a solid iron. It should be a molten iron. And once the molten iron is there, you have the necessary background to have your machine. But that machine from the molten iron can come only when you have the mold. The molten iron you have for a new instrument made up of that substance, but it is still not there. Is it clear? In the material level I am explaining you. Then the molten iron must be poured into a mold. That mold is concentration. You concentrate on a particular topic. Is it not? So what happens? Just as the molten iron, when molded or poured into the mold, that is a concentrated form. Then you wait for some time. What happens? You get the new apparatus. So this is the exact process you have to do with your mind also. So what is it? The first thing is your mind must be purified. Just as the mineral which was in the earth has been separated from the impurities and you have got the pure iron, in the same way you should have a pure thought. The pure thought you can have, a pure thought which is beyond your vital desires, which is beyond your Annamaya defects, and which is also beyond your egoistic thoughts. You have to purify your thoughts of all these three. That is where the Samadhi also comes. Next chapter, but let me finish this Hatha Yoga and Raja Yoga first. Raja Yoga deals with mind. I am talking about the mind. So while we are reading all these, three things should not hamper us. First is your material mind, giving it a material color. How? If you are a Hindu, when you say God, you have a material mind. Your God is different from Allah. No doubt about it. Even though your lips say, we feel one. So what is there? The material mind is obstructing you. Just put it aside. And then you have a vital mind. The God is there, but for me Rama is good, Krishna is not good. For me Kali is good. So the desire mind, the personality mind obstructs. The thought is there, God. The material mind, broad sects. The vital mind, personal gods. You just wait, Amma. You it is being molded. And then we have the thought about God, the idea about God. Each one of us, even though we use the word God, your thoughts about God are certainly different. The number of thoughts which revolve about the word God is different for each one of us. And that difference is because of the ego. So, for the mind to be molded to become a perfect instrument, you should be beyond the Annamaya Purusha, the Pranamaya Purusha, the Manomaya Purusha, which in total is known as the psychic being. And that is not enough. You have to go beyond it, beyond the ego also. And how can you do it? By Samadhi. If you are in Samadhi, you are beyond all these three states. That is why very specifically Sri Aurobindo mentions that Samadhi cannot be a part of integral yoga. Because in Samadhi, when you come out of the Samadhi, your Chaitya Purusha also comes out. In Samadhi, you are free from all these things. You are in what we call trance. But okay, if you are in the trance, it's good. But if you want to use the lower principles, you have to come out of the Samadhi. And if you come out of the Samadhi, again the defects come. But very specifically, Sri Aurobindo advises that you should use Samadhi also. But just before going into the Samadhi, you go to next slide. Next slide, next, 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 next. Go on. Next. Go to the last. Go on. This one. You understood what I meant by the Hatha Yoga and Raja Yoga and why I have crossed all those things? You have already perfected it. I have told you how you should use it.